400. This is a compliance hearing in a Texas Family First case involving the Burnett children. Mr. Graff is with us covering for Mr. Alvey for the department. Mr. Alvey's in a jury trial. Miss Riley is with us representing the mother, Miss Schiffman. She's not with us and not in the waiting room. Miss Kincaid is with us representing the father, Mr. Burnett. He's not with us and not in the waiting room. Mr. Nowak represents the children. He is also in the same jury trial with Mr. Alvey, so he's not here. However, he has sent me his recommendation, which I'll read when we get to that point. So, Miss Riley, Miss Kincaid, were y'all expecting your clients?
Your Honor, I was just appointed on this one a few days ago. I have reached out and I left a voicemail, but he didn't get back with me, so I do not know.
Okay.
And I was not, Judge. I think things are going very well with her. I think she will appear if you want her to, but she was working on something with a job this morning.
That's fine. Since we're just here on a compliance hearing, we'll go forward without them. Okay, this case was set for 9 o'clock. It's 9:07. We'll proceed in the parent's absence as well as Mr. Nowak's absence. So, Mr. Graff, you may proceed.
Your Honor, is Ms. Chu and Ms. Jeffcott in the waiting area?
Yes, sir.
So, if you could let them in, they're the
Okay.
caseworker and supervisor, respectively.
All right. That's everybody in the waiting room except for Yolanda Novak. So.
Okay, and I would call Ms. Chu to give an update to the court. Obviously, she filed a compliance report, but there are some updates I just learned prior to the hearing.
Okay.
That Ms. Chu can update the court and the parties about.
All right, Ms. Chu, if you'd unmute. Thank you, ma'am. You swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, Mr. Graff.
Thank you, Ms. Chu. And if you could just give the court and the parties an update as to the parents' compliance and progress with their services.
Yes, sir. We received a new development last night that Miss Mariah had relapsed on alcohol again. The children were at the babysitters at the time of incident. I'm still waiting to hear back from the babysitter to find out who picked them up, what time, all of those things. I just haven't heard back yet this morning. The father is at home with Mariah and the children this morning, so there is supervision on that party at this time. Mariah is currently seeking inpatient treatment again. I think she's going to go more extensive towards the 90 or 120 day. Once she finds an opening, I will transport her there if she, can find her something to get into. We will come up with a plan for, safety of the kids after this hearing when we all get together. I just wanted to give that update this morning.
Okay, but the father has a sufficient mitigating factor such that the kids are still safe in the home. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and it sounds like mom is making efforts to address the issue, and you will facilitate whatever she may need in terms of accessing services to address the relapse.
Yes, sir.
Great, thank you. Pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Ms. Riley. Questions?
I don't, Judge, other than I just want to make sure this was just last night. Is that what you said? All
yes,
right,
ma'am.
Thank you. That's all. Thank you, Judge.
Ms. Kincaid?
No questions, Your Honor.
All right. All right, then, Mr. Graff, do you have anything further?
I don't, Your Honor.
Do you have, I assume you're going to want another compliance hearing?
Yeah, we would request another compliance hearing. I'll defer to my client in terms of how far out they want to go, whether we're looking at 30 days or 90 days or 60 days.
Your Honor, let's definitely do anywhere between 45 to 60.
Okay, I've got July 21st.
That's
Judge.
Yes, sir.
I had talked to Brittany about setting them for July 2nd.
Oh, okay, she gave me the 21st.
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday. I'm sorry.
Okay, July 2nd is fine with me too. So, okay, let me go ahead. Mr. Nowak's recommendation, of course, he did not know about the development last night, but what he said was continue the case and encourage the parents to continue working services, encourage the parents to be attentive to the cleanliness of the children. That's all he had to say. So, all right, then I will order that the parents continue to work the services as previously ordered. Because of the development last night, as well as Ms. Schiffman indicating her willingness to do so, I'm going to order that she successfully complete another inpatient treatment for her alcohol problem.
Thank you.
All right. as I said, I'll set the next compliance hearing for July 2nd, 2025. It will be by Zoom, just like today's hearing, so parties can talk to their attorneys or anyone can go on the court's online docket to see exactly what time on July 2nd we'll have that hearing.
Great.
Okay, that was,
Judge, can I just say something for a second? I just want to apologize to all the parties. This did just develop this morning when Kinsey turned her phone on for the morning. So we have been working quickly to talk to mom, dad, babysitter, etc. And so that is why several of you were blindsided, and we apologize for that. It's just kind of hard to get everybody before 9 o'clock hearing.
no, I mean, Megan, if it just happened last night, how could you possibly have known? So that's not a problem at all.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay, we'll stand in recess on this case. I'll be back at 9:30 to call status hearing, Gray County case status hearing on the Blaylock child. So we will be in recess. Everybody have a good rest of your week and have a good Memorial Day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
This is a status hearing involving the Blaylock child.
Your Honor, state would call Ms. Harmon.
Okay. Ms. Harmon, if you'd unmute.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. If you'd raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, Mr. Graff.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Harmon, you're the current caseworker assigned to the Blaylock matter, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and have you determined whether there are any prior court actions involving the child, such as a prior removal, or is that still pending?
No, sir. There's no more.
Okay, and all parties have been served at this point in time?
I believe so.
Okay, no outstanding issues of paternity?
No, sir.
Okay, and then have the parents and or family members with knowledge been asked to fill out an ICWA questionnaire?
I,
Indian Child Welfare Act?
yes, sir. I believe during at the time of the removal, they filled that out.
Okay, is there any reason to believe this child is a member or eligible for membership in a Native American tribe, to your knowledge?
I don't believe so.
Okay. And at this point in time, has a service plan been created in collaboration with the parents?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that's been filed with the court?
Yes, sir.
What are the services that you worked out with the parents?
So we will be asking both Rance and Brooklyn to maintain stable and appropriate housing, stable employment, refrain from any criminal activity, continually visit with their child, participate in a psychological evaluation with Stonebridge, do individual counseling with Rance. We'll be seeing Mr. Gatlin, and Brooklyn will be seeing Peggy Skinner. And then I believe that is it here.
Okay.
Sir.
And are those services are narrowly tailored to address the needs of the family?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are there any preferred providers that the parents have identified that aren't currently under contract with the state?
I do not believe so. I know they both see Mr. Gatlin for couples counseling in their other case that we have. But Mr. Gatlin was only able to take one of them as a client for individual.
Okay. And have you made all the referrals they need for any of their providers and all of their providers?
Yes, all referrals have been submitted and ready for them to go.
Okay. Have they been able to start any of the services yet?
I know that I provided Brooklyn with the phone number and everything for her to contact Peggy Skinner, and Rance is in contact with Mr. Gatlin for individual. In regards to the psychological, they've been referred to. Stonebridge is the one that will contact them to schedule that initial appointment.
Okay. And then where is Everly placed?
She is currently placed in a kinship home with Brooklyn's grandparents. in Clarendon, Texas.
Okay, she doing well?
She is doing fantastic since being placed there. There's been no issues whatsoever regarding Everly's health or anything like that. Placement was speaking to me about how they kind of felt overwhelmed. So I did put in a request for a home study with, Rance's cousin, Rena and Kyler in Shallow Water. But after seeing and meeting with Donna and Bill, Brooklyn's grandparents in Clarendon, they kind of assured me that they still want Everly, but they will give me confirmation on whether or not they believe it's in Everly's best interest to be moved from their home by today or tomorrow.
Okay. And so you've been able to, at least while they're committed to having her with any supports that they need in order to stabilize that placement, correct?
That is correct. They also have a kinship worker.
Okay. But the other relatives have been identified by the parent. So hopefully if this placement doesn't work out, we'll have another backup relative caregiver available. Okay. And then St. Francis is the child's medical center or the department?
It is, excuse me, Donna Barnes, and then myself as backup.
Okay. And I understand she's preschool. She's just a year old. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. What reasonable efforts have been made to either return the children home what reasonable efforts have been made to return the children home at this point?
The reasonable effort so far is we've created that service plan in hopes for them to be able to complete them and alleviate the risks that we did speak about in the adversary hearing.
Okay. And at this point in time, would you say that the state should continue to have temporary managing conservatorship over the child?
Yes, I do.
And why is that?
We have not mitigated any of the risks of removal so far. I do believe after plenty of sessions of counseling between both of them, and then in addition to the couples counseling, I think we'll have a better grasp on where we stand.
Okay. And would you say that the FPOS that's been created is in the child's best interest at this time?
I do.
Okay. Are there any additional orders that you're requesting that we haven't previously discussed?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Pass the witness, Judge.
All right. Ms. Harmon, was from reading the initial report and from our adversary hearing, was one of the main reasons for removal domestic violence?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. I didn't hear anything in the service plans that seemed to deal with the domestic violence when you talked about what services were being recommended.
Yes, so we're having those needs addressed in individual therapy in addition to the couples therapy that they're going through in the other case, as both of the parents appeared to be the aggressors in some circumstances. We did not believe that BIP would have been appropriate.
Okay, so you're dealing with it through both individual and couples counseling?
That is correct, Your Honor.
And you did mention, I think you mentioned this, they have an older child that's also in foster care, is that correct?
Yes.
Did that child go into care before this child?
Yes, sir.
So this service plan, they overlap. They're not having to do the same service in both cases, are they?
No, sir, they're not having to do the same services.
Okay, all right. Okay, and I've got a question about whether Mr. Blaylock's presumed or alleged father, but we can get to that with him. Okay, Ms. Lucero, questions?
Just a couple, Your Honor. Thank you. Ms. Harmon, currently the parents are visiting, according to the report, on Mondays from 10 to 11 a.m. and every Sunday from 3 to 5. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor. Or sorry, yes, ma'am.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Would it be possible? I know that you stated that the Barnes, feel maybe a little bit overwhelmed. Everly's, very young. If in talking with them, do you believe if the parents were around more, maybe with more visits, that could alleviate or help them also? Or would the department consider that?
I'm sure having, the assistance of, Brooklyn and Rance to help care for Everly, could be beneficial. I do believe that.
Okay, all right, then if, let's say we request that those visits increased, of course, it'd benefit the child, benefit the parents, and benefit placement, the department would consider that? I know you have to
I
staff
believe-
it, but yeah, but,
Yes.
but y'all would, okay, all right, okay. That's all of the questions I have, Your Honor. I'll pass the witness.
All right, Mr. Pirtle.
I have no questions.
All right, Mr. Barfield's still not with us. Okay, then Mr. Graff, any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor, state rest.
Okay, Ms. Harmon, did both these parents sign their service plans?
Not yet. No.
All right. All right, then, Ms. Lucero, any witnesses?
No witnesses, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Pirtle, any witnesses?
I'd like to call my client, Rance, please.
Okay. Mr. Blaylock, let me find you here. There you are.
Yes,
Raise your right hand, please. You swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Mr. Pirtle?
All right, thank you, Judge. Now, go ahead and state your name, Rance.
Rance Blaylock.
Okay, and you're the father of the child who's the subject of this suit, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and my office has asked you if you wanted a paternity test, and you said no. You know you're the father, right?
Yes, sir.
So you may be an alleged father, but you're asking the court to go ahead and say you are the father of this child.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you heard the announcement from the department about the services they're going to require of you. Is that okay with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Pass the witness.
All right, anyone else have further questions for Mr. Blaylock?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Mr. Blaylock, we're talking about alleged versus presumed. You weren't married to Miss Lambright when Everly was born, is that correct?
No, Your Honor.
Were you at the hospital?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember any of the hospital staff giving you a document to sign that's called an acknowledgement of paternity, whereby you stated that you were the father?
I believe so.
Okay. If you did, let's assume for a minute you did not. Mr. Pirtle asked you if you wanted paternity testing. I need to admonish you. You have the absolute right to paternity testing to prove you are or you're not the biological father, or you can waive that and ask that I go ahead and enter a court order that finds you legally to be the father. Which do you want me to do?
That's fine. We can just waive it.
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
I'm the father, yeah.
Okay, then I'll be entering that door. You understand that when I entered that order, for all practical purposes, even if you weren't the biological father, you'll be treated like you are, which comes obviously with responsibilities as well as privileges. So you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, then I'll do that today. Thank you. All right, then, if we don't have any other witnesses, Mr. Barfield's not here to make any recommendations, then first of all, based on Mr. Blaylock's testimony today and the fact that he thinks he might have signed an acknowledgement of paternity, I do find that Rance Blaylock is in fact the biological father of Everly Blaylock, and I will establish that parent-child relationship today. I'll continue the department as temporary managing conservator. I'll continue Everly's current placement. I don't have any problem with the parents having more visitation with the child. And if that would help the placement, I do want it to continue to be supervised at this point, but I don't have a problem. The more that they can, I'm sure they want to be with Everly. And if these placements are needing some help, I don't have any problem with that. That's probably good for Everly. It's probably good for placement, and we know it's good for the parents. So y'all can work it out, the details, but I don't see that I need to put any kind of limit on it. I don't want them just living over there, but more time for Everly to be with her parents is a good thing. So, okay. Let's see if that's all we had. Then our next hearing will be the initial permanency hearing. That will be on September 17th. The parents can get with their attorneys or go on the court's online docket to see exactly what time we'll have that hearing. We won't know till a few days before September 17th, but you'll know by then what time we'll see you back on September 17th. Okay, Mr. Blaylock, Ms. Lambright, if you'd both unmute. Can you both hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I have to admonish you today that the services contained in your service plan become a court order today. if at the final hearing, if you haven't worked those services, your parental rights could be altered or terminated. Do you both understand that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, thank y'all. Okay, that will conclude this hearing. I'll be back here in just a few minutes, start a little after 10 probably, to call a Gray County case. That's an initial permanency hearing on the Bentley child. So we'll be in recess. Y'all have a good rest of your week and have a good Memorial Day.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. This is an initial permanency hearing on the Bentley child. Mr. Graff is covering for Mr. Albee for the department. Ms. Talley is with us representing CASA. Ms. Kincaid is with us representing the children as the ad litem. Mr. Michelson is with us representing the mother, Ms. Greenwald. She's not with us, not in the waiting room. Mr. Michelson, were you expecting her? You're muted.
Sorry, I was having problems with my audio. Yes, I was expecting her.
Okay, I don't have anybody in the waiting room except for Miss Outley with the St. Francis. Is she your worker?
She's my worker, Your Honor, yes.
Yeah, I'll be getting her in. Okay, Mr. Nowak represents the father, Mr. Bentley. Mr. Bentley's not with us, and Mr. Nowak is in a jury trial in Dalhart at this time, so he's not with us, but he did let me know he sent recommendations for all his cases. He says he was only appointed 5 days ago. He's been busy prepping for this jury trial in Dalhart. He's not had contact with his client yet, so his client's not with us. So we'll go ahead in his absence. Miss Riley is the guardian ad litem for the mother, Miss Greenwald. She's not with us either. So this case was set for 10 o'clock. It's 10:05. We've got a full morning, so we're going to go ahead and go forward in their absences. So, Mr. Graff, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I call Antar Outley to give us an update.
Okay. Mr. Outley, if you would raise your right hand, you swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Okay, I can't hear you.
Yes.
Okay, you're going to have to get closer to your mic and speak up, please.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Graff.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Mr. Outley.
Good morning.
Are you the current caseworker assigned to the Adeline Bentley matter?
Yes.
Okay. And how long have you been assigned?
Like 5 months now.
Okay. And have we gotten service on all necessary parties, mother and father, in this matter?
Yes.
Okay. And then has the CCEG, Court of Continuing Exclusive Jurisdiction verification, been received and filed with the court, if you know?
I'm not sure.
Okay. And have all issues of paternity been resolved at this point, to your knowledge?
Yes, as far as I know.
Okay. And at this time, can Adeline be safely returned to her home?
No.
Okay. And is the child placed with a relative or a designated caregiver?
Yeah, she's in her foster home in Alvin, Texas, with a foster placement.
Okay. And how old is Adeline?
She's 8 months.
Okay. So she's not in a position to express an opinion at this point in time.
No.
Okay. Has does she have any special needs?
No.
Okay. And okay. Do you have a likely date at this point in time where she might be able to either be returned home or otherwise placed for adoption or permanent managing conservatorship?
Yeah, they 12/9 of 25.
Okay. And how are the parents doing in terms of compliance and progress of any court-ordered services?
The mom she's been doing parenting and counseling in her facility. The dad, it's been difficult to find services there in Arkansas. I've made calls, nobody's called me back. He's made calls. Like on May 5th, I even called local CPS in Arkansas, Sebastian County, to see if they could link me to people, to services they give their clients there. On the same day on the email at 2:50, her name was Scarlett Yang, she sent an email to asking coworkers to call me back to give me kind of help me out, find services. No one still called me back. So
Well, it sounds like you've been kind of beating the bushes to connect him up with Arkansas providers, but no luck so far.
yes.
Okay. Beyond the efforts you've made to try and find out-of-state providers to help with dad, at this point in time, has the mother been provided referrals for all the previously court-ordered services?
Yes.
Okay. And is she, are there any additional services that you're recommending or requesting for either parent at this point in time?
At this time, no.
Okay. And should the department continue to have temporary managing conservatorship of Adeline?
Yes.
Okay. And then why is that?
Dad hasn't started his services. He is working. He does have his own apartment, so he has made steps on those. Mom still has had some incidents where she has ran to hang with an 18-year-old boy in the last facility. In this facility, they tried to pick her up from school. There was one incident they tried to pick her up from school. She wasn't available, so she's still making a few little mistakes. But as a mother, her instincts are really good. But she's just making a few young mistakes because being young, it can happen. But
Sure. So it sounds like she's making an effort to try and comply, but she's still got work to do before you could ever recommend placement back into her care. Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So at this point in time, it's contrary to the for the child's welfare for her to be returned to either parent's care.
Yes.
Okay, because there's still outstanding safety risks.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Outley, domestic violence was one of the main causes for removal. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Could Austin do the BIP program do it virtually?
Yes, I haven't really. Can he do it from this area? I haven't really found any spots in Arkansas, but if I can get him, if he can call it here in this area, I think he could. I could try that.
Well, I mean, if it's virtual, as long as he's got some way to hook up to the internet, I don't think it really matters where he's at.
Yeah, he does have that.
Okay, well, if he's got that, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I've heard many times talk about that the BIP class can be done virtually. So
okay, I can try to set those up.
Yeah, if that can be done, that's the main service the court would want him to do anyway because of the cause of removal. So if we can get that done virtually, then that's great. So
okay,
and I don't know about either a domestic violence group for Ms. Greenwald or a WAVE class, but let's just look into it to see if those things can be done virtually. So
yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Michelson, any questions?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Miss Greenwald is a 9th grader, correct?
I think she's 10th grade, I believe.
Okay. And does she complete school this week?
Yes, sir. I believe so.
Okay. Are there any plans for her for this summer? I know she seems to like to plan adventures, so I was wondering if they were going to keep her time occupied.
I think they have some activities planned. I haven't heard much from this new facility she's moved into. But I know they got some things planned. They do stuff on weekends that I know of.
Okay. In terms of her participation in the family service plan, is she on track?
Yes.
Okay. And with the issues of running away from the facility, is that an ongoing problem or a resolved issue?
I think it's been resolved. It was the last facility was kind of happening. I haven't heard anything different for this facility she moved into recently.
Okay. And how long has she been at that facility?
I think it's probably about a month now.
Okay.
The newest one that's in Missouri City.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Outley, at one point was the mother, Ms. Greenwald, was she placed in a group home with the child?
Yes, that's the one that she recently moved out of into the new one.
And that's when we were worried she was going to run and either take the baby or not take the baby. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So now the baby's in a different foster home. That's not an issue anymore, correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right then, Ms. Kincaid.
You stole my questions, Judge. But Adeline's not currently on any kind of medications.
No.
Okay, and since she's recently been moved into this foster home, have visits been set up?
Yeah, she will see Marie this Saturday at 9 a.m. at the facility.
Okay, so they're gonna transport Adeline back and forth to see Marie?
But the caregiver wants to do like one week she wants to do face to face, and the next week she wants to do virtual. So that's gonna like just rotate.
Okay, thank you. I'll pass the witness.
Okay. Where's Miss Greenwald placed?
She's in Missouri City at a facility. I can't remember the address. It's like
Oh, we don't need address.
Okay. Yes.
How far is Marie from Adeline's placement?
When I GPS, it's like 50 minutes.
Okay, all right, that's not good. Good, that's good. They're that close. Okay, anybody have further questions for Mr. Outley?
No, Your Honor.
All right, anything further from the department?
No, the department rests, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Michelson, any witnesses?
No witnesses, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Kincaid, recommendations?
To continue the current placement, and just make sure that we can get our visits set up and going for Adeline.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, then I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator, and I will continue Adeline's current placement. I'm not sure, I'm looking at my notes from the status hearing. I had ordered that Adeline not be removed from her current placement without a prior court order. I can't remember why I did that, but we'll just continue that previous order in effect, so. All right. That will conclude this hearing. For those of you involved, I'll be back at 10:30 to call a Wheeler County case. That's on a motion to participate for the Darnell children. So otherwise, we'll be in recess. Everybody have a good rest of your week and have a good Memorial Day.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank y'all. This is a motion to participate involving the Darnell children.
Morning, Ms. Aguirre. Are you the assigned CPS investigator in the Darnell matter?
Yes.
Okay. And who are the children in this case?
Lillian and Catherine Darnell.
Okay. And what are Lillian and Catherine's ages, please?
Lillian is 8 years old and Catherine is 11 months old.
Okay. And Jessica Darnell is the mother, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Is there a father in this case in the home, or is it just the mom and the children that we're dealing with today?
It's just going to be, we don't know the father to the children, but it's going to be Jessica and her boyfriend.
Okay. And when were you assigned to this case?
I was reassigned this case on April the 8th.
Okay. And you say reassigned, you had prior involvement with the family?
No, the prior investigator was with the department. She is no longer with the department.
Okay. Did you sign the affidavit and file the petition in this matter?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And were the allegations true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes.
Okay. And when did you file?
I filed the affidavit on May the 14th.
Okay.
Or it was e-filed.
Okay. What were the allegations that led to your investigation?
There was neglectful supervision. There was some unauthorized contact with Kobe Key, which is the boyfriend. Also having him being drinking while driving. There was some instability with residents. There was some things with the kids being left unattended for a period of time.
Okay. And specifically with regard to Mr. Key, that's Ms. Darnell's boyfriend. Is that who you were referring to earlier?
Yes.
Okay. And was there a case, a criminal case that prevented him from having contact with the children?
Yes, he was charged with driving while intoxicated and then also child endangerment. But the charge for the child endangerment was dropped.
Okay. Is the drunk driving charge still pending?
Yes, he still has that one. He's on probation right now.
Okay. And what did you do to investigate the allegations?
So I reviewed the file by the previous caseworker. I, talked to her. I sat with the supervisor. I attempted to meet with mom, Jessica Darnell, and then I talked to the school. I also went to the clinic to talk to the nurse practitioner or the nurse assistant nurse practitioner there, and then also some collaterals.
Okay. And while you were investigating, were there any additional referrals that came in?
Yes, we did have another one come in after. There was another one for neglectful supervision for the children. That was for, or I think it was for her having, the children having a spoiled diaper at the clinic for a wellness visit and not keeping her appointments.
Okay. And so what did you learn as a result of your investigation?
I learned this whenever when talking to Jessica, and then also talking to all of the collaterals.
Okay. And did you have any difficulty meeting with Ms. Darnell?
Yes, I did.
How many times did you attempt to meet with her approximately?
There was 4 times that I tried to meet with her.
And how many times were you able, well, let me strike that. Were these pre-scheduled or unannounced meeting attempts?
Attempts.
I'm sorry?
Attempts.
Were they pre-scheduled or were they unannounced?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
They were
They were
pre-scheduled.
pre-scheduled. Yes.
How many times were you actually able to meet with her after pre-scheduling?
Twice.
Okay. Has she changed addresses since the department became involved?
Yes.
About approximately how many times?
I'd say at least 4 addresses.
Okay. Would you say she's had a stable residence during the time of your investigation or unstable?
I say no, not a stable residence.
Okay. And did you said you met with her twice. Were you able to discuss the allegations in the referrals with her?
Yes, I did.
And did she admit or deny any of the allegations?
She denied.
Okay. And did you have reason to be concerned about school attendance?
Yes, when I talked to the principal there at Kelton, he did mention that Lillian had 10 absences during the first semester, and then also he said there was 4 in the second semester, and that was back on April the 15th.
Okay. And specific to the neglectful supervision allegations, what is the department's concern about that?
The neglectful supervision is because the children we're seeing the children, not being able to have a stability, the home being stable, not being able to make sure that the children are safe, not having all of that in the home. We don't know exactly where they're sleeping at. We don't know if they're, they have a crib. We don't know. We need to make sure there is stability and consistency with mom and where she's staying at.
Okay. And what about the contact with Mr. Key? What were the specifics about that?
Okay. Also, there was, with him, he had denied the allegations of him leaving the children or anything like that. He is living in the home with them. He says that they were together. Him driving while intoxicated with the kids. He was not charged for the child endangerment. He's on probation, but he felt that he didn't put the kids in any danger.
Okay. Did you uncover any indication that he was providing supervision against any court orders?
No, no,
Okay. And is he in the home now?
yes.
Okay. What's the status of his probation at this time?
When I talked to the probation officer, she had stated that he just checks in monthly. She hasn't had any difficulty talking to him or him checking in, that she will do like random when he does come in, but she said that he's been cooperative.
Okay. And you said the school attendance was inconsistent. Did you talk with the mom about that?
Yes, the school attendant, she, at the beginning of the first semester, she had said that the vehicle, they didn't have a running vehicle, so they weren't able to get to the school drop-off.
Okay. And it sounds like there's been some improvement, but has she moved out of school districts with all the moving around?
No.
Okay. Where is she currently living?
She is currently living at 605 in Wheeler, Texas.
Is that a house, an apartment?
It's a house.
Okay. And what's are they on a lease? What's the status of that home?
I'm not for sure on if it's a lease or what it is.
Okay. And how long have they been there?
Well, I haven't been able to see the residence yet.
Okay. Have you made attempts?
Yes, I've made attempts.
Okay. What can you articulate whether or not the kids are currently in physical danger or at risk of further neglect if the issues are not addressed by the mother?
Yes. On there, the cleanliness of the children, we need to make sure of how they look. I know that I was sent some photographs of the children and making sure how clean they were. And the child was in a onesie and she had urine soaked up on the onesie where you could see where the dry to the clean, the wet. That is a concern. And then having not meeting their wellness visits with the doctor, making sure.
Okay, so you confirmed that there were missed appointments for well child checkups for Catherine?
Yes.
Okay. And what's do the risk factors that exist today rise to the level of needing removal, or can they be mitigated with services?
With services.
Okay. And what services are you requesting at this time?
We're requesting family-based safety services. We're asking for some parenting classes. We're asking that she is doing her regular checkups with the children, making sure of counseling, and maybe a mental health. We would like a mental health assessment.
Okay. And it sounds like the primary concern is, other than school attendance, is with Catherine, less concern as it relates to Lillian. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. But school attendance also is a concern with regard to Lillian.
Yes.
Okay. Are there any other items of concern that we haven't discussed that you think the court should be aware of?
That we just need to make sure that we know where she's staying at. We need to make sure that we are able to see the home, see where the child is sleeping, safe sleep for the children. We don't know where she's sleeping at exactly. The inconsistency of her going back and forth and telling us different addresses that she was at. We need to just make sure that she's being consistent with the family and having a location.
Okay, and that would go a long way towards addressing some of the concerns as consistent communication and ability to access the home. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Pass the witness.
All right. Mr. Pearl, any questions?
Judge, he sent a message that he had to step out for a second.
Okay. Ms. Aguirre, so Kobe Key's living in the house, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You may not know the answer to this. This might be a question for the legal staff, but I mean, he was driving with the kids when he got a DWI, and yet he's not been made a party to this action. They're not asking him to do a thing, and he's living in the home with the kids. Is that a concern to you?
Yes, there is a concern that he needs to work services also if he's going to be living in the home.
Well, y'all understand if he's not made a party to this action, I can't order him to do squat.
Okay.
And just for clarification, if I may, Your Honor, were you aware he was in the home at the time you filed?
We originally didn't even know that he was in the home until recently.
Okay. So we're going to need to amend, it sounds like.
Yeah, sounds like that to me too. All right, I don't know if Mr. Turtle's back yet. We'll give him a minute. Actually, we'll give him 4 minutes before my next hearing starts.
Okay.
All right, we can't wait for Mr. Turtle any longer. Ms. Darnell, I don't know what's happened to your lawyer. Is there any questions you have for anybody today?
No, sir.
You know the things they're asking you to do, correct?
Yes, sir.
Well, you're shaking your head no and saying yes. Do you know what they want you to do?
I heard what they wanted me to do. Yes, sir.
Okay, they want you to do what's called an FBSS assessment. That's to see whether or not you could benefit from services in what they call a family-based service program. They want you to do parenting, counseling, and do a mental health assessment. Are you willing to do those things?
Yes, sir. Okay.
All right. We don't need to wait for Mr. Pirtle any longer then. All right. Mr. Nowak represents the children in this case. He's in a jury trial. He said that's a new appointment for him. I doubt he's even met with the children, but he said he believes the kids would benefit from mother working the services. He said parents, but we don't have Mr. Key. He's not a parent, but we don't have him in this case yet, so I can't order him to do anything today. So
we'll be amending as we indicated, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Mr. Graff, how far out would you like a compliance hearing?
I think in fairness to Mr. Pirtle, I think if we go July 2nd, we've already got a number of matters.
That's what I was thinking too. So, okay. I will order that Ms. Darnell can work the services as contained in the department's petition. I'll set a compliance hearing for July 2nd, 2025. Ms. Darnell, a compliance hearing is just where we get back together and see how the kids are doing and see how you're coming along with the services they've asked you to work. So you can get with Mr. Pirtle or you can get with someone from St. Francis or the department a day or two before July 2nd to find out exactly what time on that day we'll have the hearing.
Okay.
Okay. All right. That will conclude this hearing. I'll be back here in just a minute to call a Wheeler County case. That's a compliance hearing involving the Grant and Emerson children. So we'll stand in recess. Everybody have a good rest of your week and have a good Memorial Day. Okay, it's well past 11 o'clock. I was getting ready to call this compliance hearing on the Grant and Emerson children. I'm not going to call it. Mr. Taylor's in that jury trial. He didn't get anybody to cover for him. Ms. Grant can't represent Mr. Blackburn. So I know Mr. Pirtle was here to cover, and I appreciate that, Mr. Pirtle. But Mr. Nowak is out. I think he may even be in that jury. Yeah, I know he's in that jury. So we've got all the parties appointed lawyers that aren't present, so I'm not going to go forward with that today. I still have that removal in front of me that I'm considering. Mr. Graff, I got everybody in the waiting room in. I assume that was your people too.
Well, I have Ms. Cano was already in. She was my witness, and Ms. Moore is her supervisor. I'm not sure whether there's some CASA folks or who's out there in the.
Everybody I've got's in. So CASA's not in this case. It's not a removal. I had stated that I wanted, before today's hearing, I wanted the parents to have scheduled their mental health assessments, and I wanted both of them to have provided a hair strand and UA drug screen. Mr. Graff, who can tell me whether those things have been done?
Ms. Cano can give you an update, Your Honor, as to the results.
Okay. Ms. Cano, you can just, we're not gonna have a hearing on this today, so you can just.
So we're not on the record.
No, we don't need to be on the record. I want to know those two things, and I'll decide whether to reschedule a compliance or go forward with the removal. Ms. Cano, you're muted.
Okay, so Bobby and Deidre, they both completed their hair strands. Bobby completed his UA. Deidre completed her mental health evaluation, and Bobby is scheduled for the 27th for his mental health evaluation.
Okay.
So we did get the results back. Bobby tested positive for cocaine, methamphetamine, and marijuana, and Deidre came back positive for marijuana.
Okay, so father's positive for cocaine, meth, and marijuana? Correct?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes.
And mother positive for marijuana?
Yes.
Okay. All right, let me just read you. I'm not going to have a hearing on this because there's not going to be any need. This case is going to be dismissed. Let me read you what Mr. Nowak, who represents the children, I completely agree with him. He said, I'm completely up to speed on this case. The living conditions in the home are intolerable, and those kids need to be removed as soon as possible. I have great concern that these parents can't keep a house free of dog feces and dog urine. This has been an ongoing issue despite the fact that the department provided dog crates and instructions to the parents on how to keep a house clean or at least free of animal feces and urine. This one breaks my heart because the fix was so simple. For whatever reason, the parents continue to allow the dogs to use the home as a toilet. This is an obviously harmful to the kids. The kids need to be moved to a place where they are not wallowing in filth. So I was waiting to get the test results and to be sure they'd scheduled their mental health assessments to make my decision. I'm going to sign the removal as soon as it's presented to me. I don't have an order on it. Get that to me as soon as you can. Obviously, with the removal, there'll be no need to go any further on the participation case. So we'll get that set, and we'll be back on the adversary hearing. So
yeah, we'll get that order out to Your Honor ASAP, and
okay. All right,
move forward.
And Judge, sorry, Jean. Judge, I have one question. As far as appointing attorneys in the order for protection, do you want me to go ahead and give them the same attorneys?
Yeah, there's no reason to.
I'm assuming there's indigent still.
Yeah, no, I'm going to assume that.
Okay.
So, yeah, give them the same attorneys, and Mr. Nowak, I think he would absolutely like to stay on as the attorney for the children. So
I spoke with him last night, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, then. I'll be back at 12:15 to call a Carson County case. That's a permanency review after final order on the Harmon child. So we'll see y'all back in about an hour or a little less. So
thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank y'all. This is a permanency review after final order hearing. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Koval, I know you do a really good job sending out progress reports to all the parties. For the record, if you can just update the court on the progress in the case as far as Gabe and as well as his parents, and just give an update as to where things are at. Thank you.
Okay. Gabe is doing well in placement. Hasn't been that long since our last hearing. I know we scheduled this hearing to be sort of coinciding with the end of school and the plans to reunite him with dad. So where we're at with the reunification process is we're trying to finish strong with school. He is failing a few classes. So at this point, it is looking like he is going to have to do a couple of weeks of summer school there where his placement is from like June the 1st to the 15th. So reunification would not be in the cards for immediately after school. We need to get those classes out of the way first. But everything's on schedule otherwise. He's He's doing well in his placement. The dad has done well and done everything we asked him to do to create an environment at home that is accommodating for Gabe and ready for him. He's got a bedroom of his own and a 3-bedroom apartment, and they're excited about having him. And I think he's got the right attitude, and he's excited to go home as well. Dad's doing well. Mom is still living in Colorado, but she has weekly Zoom meetings that are unsupervised, excuse me, with Gabe once a week, and those are going well as well.
Great. Any additional services or anything needed to prepare him for the placement back with his dad, or are we good to go once he gets his summer school requirements out of the way?
I think we're good to go. One thing that the placement has been very good about doing is having some pre-discharge meetings once a week. Keisha Roberts from the placement gets on a Zoom call with the dad and also with Gabe to talk about the things that have been successful strategies in the placement and how to convert those over to a home environment so that Gabe is best set up to succeed. So they're doing that every week, and those are going well. And after Gabe returns home, we'll certainly get him plugged in with, medication management and counseling here at home.
Thank you. Do you have any recommendations about maybe setting a subsequent hearing once he's back with his dad, just to check in and see how things are going?
I think that's a good idea.
Okay, how far out would you be recommending?
Well, considering he may not be home until mid-June, maybe toward the end of July, that would give him at least a little over a full month. And then we can talk about the preparations for the school and the fall enrollment.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Colville. Pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. Stevens, any questions?
Just one, Your Honor. Has been consistently making Gabe available for his visits with his mom?
I'm
Hello?
sorry, you were cutting out a little bit. Something about Gabe's visits with mom, but I didn't catch all of it.
Yeah, has the placement been consistently making Gabe available?
I do know that we had a meeting that was going on at the same time as mom's visit with Gabe, and so they did miss that one time a week or two ago. I think that there have been maybe one time that mom missed from her side, and then another time or two that the placement missed because of conflicts. But I did have a conversation with placement and a conversation with mom to make sure that that they're putting that as a priority and making that time available every week. And it's definitely happened more often than it hasn't happened.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Mr. Michelson, any questions?
No questions. Based on Mr. Colville's observations, I'm happy to hear that there's transitional support for Gabe. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, okay. Ms. Kincaid, questions?
Just one, Your Honor. I know that we've been really diligent about his medication schedule and checking in on that. Are his psychotropic medications being reviewed every 30 days?
Yes, they are. He's on 3 medications, and they did make a tweak recently within, say, 2 to 3 months ago to account for the fact that he's gained some weight as he's moving through his teenage years. And so they, I believe it was the clonidine that went from 0.5 to 1 milligram. So we have been diligent about that. We haven't changed medications, just made that slight adjustment to 1 medication's dosage. But with the 3 medications that he's on, that seems to be a pretty good sweet spot for him right now. He's alert, but he's not overly aggressive. He's able to get through the school day without any issues with drowsiness. So feel good about where his medications are at this point.
And at one point we were at 6, so we're at least in the right direction, hopefully, right?
That's right. And I would add that Superior Health had done a PMUR, a utilization review of the medication recently, and they came forward and said that they had concerns about medications that were treating the same symptoms, that sort of thing. That's just sort of something that they do as a regular basis. But we forwarded that to his psychiatrist, who did review it and who did speak to Superior Health and determined that no changes were necessary.
Okay, thank you. I'll pass the witness.
All right, anyone else? Mr. Koval? Tim,
No.
has Gabe commented at all about his medications? Has he made any comments about how he feels about them?
He knows that he needs to be on medication and he feels good while he's on them. He's not really having any side effects to report. So
okay, all right.
Medication's not something that's on his radar as anything that he complains about to me.
Okay, good. All right then, Mr. Graff, did you have any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor, state rests.
Thank you. Ms. Stevens, any witnesses? You're breaking up. We can't hear you. Now she's muted. Well, let's see. Let's go on. Mr. Moccasin, any witnesses?
No witnesses. We rest, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Kincaid, witnesses.
No, Your Honor.
All right, oops, she's muted again. Ms. Stevens, if you'll unmute. She must have a real weak signal because she's been breaking up a lot. All right, then, Ms. Kincaid, recommendations?
Just continue down the current track. I'm really excited for Gabe and for Mr. Harmon. They've both made a lot of progress, so I look forward to hopefully getting a really good update in July.
Yeah, okay. All right, then, give me just a second.
Judge, while you're doing that, would you like a report from CASA?
Yeah, here in just a second. Let me get one thing done here.
You're fine. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Lemus Costas.
We don't have too much further to add. We did visit Gabe last month in Houston, and he's doing really well. And he typically, whenever I speak to him, I do ask him about his medications, and he never has a complaint and says he feels good on them. And then I do ask him if he felt like they weren't working or there was an issue with them, if he could talk to his therapist and tell him how he's feeling, or his psychiatrist, excuse me, and tell him how he's feeling and how it's making him feel, and he says he can. One recommendation that I do have upon his return home is possibly looking into Cal Farley's Boys Ranch's case management services. I think as many people as we can get on board to support his reunification home, it would be really helpful. And I know that I believe might be through family preservation. I know that one of my other youth that I have that has returned home and has similar behavioral and medical needs such as Gabe's has really benefited from some of their services. And I think when we get him home, as much help as we can get Mr. Harmon and Gabe to make sure it's successful would be really beneficial.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that, but Mr. Koval, are you familiar with these services?
I am familiar with Cal Farley's Boys Ranch, but not really familiar with services that they offer outside of a child being placed with them.
Being placed there? Yeah.
I can connect you, Tim. The worker is Tamara Martinez on that case, and I can get you connected and see what specifically it is.
Good, that'd be good. If Tim, if you need to, just get a hold of Melissa and see what you can run down there. So,
yes, Judge.
And will Gabe have to move up here before we get him with a new psychiatrist? I don't know how that works. Do you set it up in advance, or do you have to wait until he's here and we actually make the transfer?
We can set the appointment ahead of time so that it can happen within probably a week or so. He was already receiving services prior, so he wouldn't be a brand new patient with TPC.
Would he did he have a psychiatrist? I assume where Where does Mr. Harmon live?
In Borger.
I assume then we'll have to get some psychiatrist that's somewhere in the Panhandle, right?
Yes, sir. And I believe that prior to him moving, he was seeing TPC with telehealth with a psychiatrist.
Okay.
So we could take that approach, or if Henrik could get him to Amarillo, he could see a psychiatrist in person.
Okay. Okay. I just didn't know if we had to wait. I'd never asked that question before. So, all right then. I recalled from this morning, I think we had, I saw in my notes from the morning dockets, I think we've got another docket on July 21st. All right. We changed one this morning, didn't we, Leslie, to July 2nd?
Yeah, we did, Your Honor.
Yeah.
We did, and I'm looking, and it looks like we have that day. There's also July the 11th.
Okay.
I think you'll just have one perm hearing that day out of Dalhart. The
Okay.
other two will be agreed. So.
All right. Is everybody all right with setting our next hearing for July 11th?
Sure.
Okay. All right then. I'll set our next review hearing for July 11th, 2025. It will be by Zoom, just like today's hearing. So parties and attorneys can go on the court's online docket a day or two before July 11 to see exactly what time we'll have the hearing. So hopefully then Gabe will be home and kind of situating in, and we'll see how things are going and adjust anything we need to then. So, all right. That will conclude this hearing. I'll be back at 12:45 to call a Sherman County adversary hearing on the Mayorga child. So we will be in recess. Y'all have a good rest of your week and have a happy Memorial Day.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you,
Thank
Judge.
you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Uh-huh.
And Tim, I am adding you onto that email right now.
Thank you, Melissa.
Absolutely. Y'all have a great weekend.
You too.